Hey guys, welcome back. This will be an update video on some projects that I'm doing currently. Also some projects that I've done myself that are my own engines that I'll show you guys here, and some custom cars that I think you'll also find pretty interesting. And also I wanted to update you guys on the progress of the trash flats and containers that I mentioned in the prior video that I was doing. I'm doing 50 flat cars and 200 total containers for this guy in Colorado. And right now I'm just kind of going through the various stages of weathering these, but to start, this is the container right out of the box from Atlas. You can see it's clean, shiny. Also, it's very dull in the terms of it doesn't have the warning labels that the real things actually have. It doesn't have barely any labeling at all. So the big challenge here is going and basically in this project taking these, putting all the extra safety and warning labels on them, weathering them, fading them, and so this is kind of what I've been working on now. Is I've been doing a lot of the decaling on the containers. Right now I got a few at the point. I got my airbrush out recently, and I was able to fade a few of these down. So if you actually look, you can see, and I'll show you a better shot here in a sec, you can see the difference between the stock container and the faded green containers, which I think looks pretty cool. So that's just one of the steps I've been doing recently, was doing the fading on these containers, because you see a lot of these where the paint's been sun bleached compared to some of these where they have a relatively cleaner paint. I'll even show you guys some cars here too that I've finished where you have the container variations on there, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you guys all that I've been doing there in that project, kind of go over a few things real quick to discuss that and kind of show you guys the progress on that, like I said. But to start, what I have to show first off is some custom locomotives that I've done for myself very recently. And the first locomotive I wanted to show you guys is custom Union Pacific GP40-2 number 1364. And this is one of the newer runs of the Athearn RTR units, and these look really sharp. I really like these Union Pacific, these fresh repaints and rebuilds that Union Pacific's been cranking out. I needed a companion, story has it, to go with the 1349 here, which is another one of the early, kind of an earlier run of the Athearn RTR Jeeps that I recently kind of updated the detailing on. I needed a companion to go with it, and it just so happened as I was looking on eBay, I found this guy for about 45 bucks, which was pretty cool on eBay. So I picked that up. About a week later I got it in the mail and started the work on it. The project was pretty easy because the unit actually was not too far off. The Athearn model was not too far off from the prototype photos, which I'll show you in a minute. But there's still a little bit to be said here. I obviously did all the detailing on it, weathered it, added some reflective tape to it, which I'll also show you guys. To start, you can see I mentioned the reflective tape. I went ahead and wrapped the whole thing in the reflective yellow striping, which is my Western safety tape, which I cut in strips and applied it, and then cut out the little areas for the stanchions to fit perfectly over them, so you don't see any overlap or anything like that. The stanchions just fit right over them, which is pretty cool. So that was one little task I had to do. On the front there you got the striping as well. On the nose, like most other of these Athearn and all these other engines that I basically modernized, I had to remove the class lights on it, and just like the prototype, it does not have the class light covers anymore either. So I noticed that the patch job that they did on the nose was kind of sloppy. You can kind of see the areas where they put the metal plates over the class lights and then kind of bonded it up and sanded it. So that's what I tried to represent here, kind of a rough patch job on the nose. And then on the back they did welded steel plates, but I'll show you guys that in a minute. But obviously I had to add all the details to it, like I added the SP plow, the custom-made detail ditch lights with the Detail Associates ditch light housings on there, the custom-made coupler bars, MU receptacles and outlets. I added all that, of course. The MU cables, the air lines, new couplers, all that was added. I added the filter, or the actually the vent on the nose here. You can see that little part right here, the little round hatch. That I added that to the model as well. On the engineer side here also, you can see I added the new speed recorder cable, which is pretty long on this guy. It actually extends all the way from the trailing wheel here and goes up just right underneath the batter box here, kind of towards the front part of the cab. So that looks pretty cool. So I went ahead and did that detail. On the roof here you can see you got the classic tall SP Rio Grande style horn stand, and I made that custom from styrene and brass. I basically made the entire housing from styrene and then put the brass wire in there to represent the airline, and then I put an Athearn K3LA casting on there to represent the 3-note horns that Athearn uses, or not Athearn, excuse me, that Union Pacific uses. And then you can see I also added the antenna, the little antenna there, which I made from a very fine brass wire. Got the AC unit on there, got the GPS dome, and then the ice skate antenna there also, which looks pretty cool. Just a nice light weathering on this guy. You can see nothing too crazy. Darken the grills, darken the fans, as you can see, and then just put a little soot and some grime and stuff on the roof there. Kind of give it that effect of just a little bit of age and some, you know, gathered a couple months of service since it got repainted. So, as we look at the trucks too, you can see it's still pretty clean. But I darkened up the journals, as you can see, because that's where all the grease kind of drips out from those journals. So what you see is this kind of halo effect, where you got a lot of the black right on the journal cover, and then it kind of drips down right here. So that came out pretty good. So you can see it also on these, kind of a little bit better on the trailing truck here, the greased out journals. Obviously I had to weather the wheels too. That's something very important you got to do, is weather the wheels. So I went ahead and made up a rust tone for that and applied it before I put the truck side frames back on. And I also added the detailing on the fuel tank as of the prototype photos, added the fuel fillers and the new labels there. And then as we move on to the back, we got a host of other new details applied. Again, the reflective striping wraps around. Got all the drop step, MU cables, you also got the receptacles. This one here, and then the Union Pacific Pepsi can style receptacle there. Custom made coupler bar, knuckle brackets, airline. All that's been applied and it looks pretty good. And then you got the hose trays as well, these smaller hose trays. One of the processes, one of the big modifications to the front and back pilots actually, it was modifying them and basically modeling them so they're flat. Because the Athearn, these are basically the old school Athearn blue box shells, which have those hose trays on the ends, as you guys know, and in order for these to be up to modern, you know, up to date and modernized, you have to remove those. So I chiseled those off, sanded them down, and then put the new pilot plates on there. And then once you paint it, it just blends right in and it looks pretty realistic, so that's no big deal. On the ends here I also blanked out the class lights, but they did a rougher patch job on the ends. They actually just took square plates, welded them on there, and then painted them with the paint job, which looks pretty cool. So I just modeled that with some brass sheet. I think it's a BLMA part is what that is. And then as we move to this side, you can see pretty much about the same. Got the still striping, just a very light weathering. I didn't have to add the sunshades on this. The newer Athearn RTR units have the sunshades, which is a nice touch, but I did have to add the wind deflectors, or the mirrors rather, on both sides of the cab as well. That was another thing I had to do. But overall the unit came out pretty good. I really like this, and like I said, I really love these fresh lightning bolt scheme Jeeps because I think they just look really cool. I want to get possibly another one of these, and then I want to get a couple of Union Pacific Jeep 38-2s, maybe one old school in the older modernized Union Pacific scheme, and then maybe one in the lightning bolt that I can do. But just real quick, there's the model, but here's the prototype, and obviously you can see this is what I was going for. Very clean, as you can see. This is a very recent photo of the unit. You can see the pilot's very clean, trucks are very clean, fuel tank's very clean, but you can see that the grills are darkened. You got the horn stand there, as you can see. This was an earlier date though. A couple years back it still had the P3 on it, but recently Union Pacific changed it to a K3LA, so that's why I added the K3 horn to it. And then you can see all the front pilot detailing there as well. So this is the prototype obviously I was going for. And overall it's pretty close. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I think they both look, or it looks very close. So I'm pretty happy with that. So that's Union Pacific 1364. We'll go ahead and set her aside. The only thing I got to do there is put the decoder in it at this point, and then it'll be done. The next project that I've been working on is another engine that I've shown before, and it's CSX 8888 Crazy 8s, as you all know. This is the famous SD40-2 that ran away here in Ohio back in 2001 on the manifest out of Toledo, Ohio. So I've had this for quite a while since Athearn released it. I got lucky, and I think I got this one at a train show, if I remember the story correctly. But like I said, I've shown this like maybe 2 or 3 times now, but this will be the last official update on this because I finally really technically completed it this time. So a couple things that I did to change it around was I finished paint matching the blue on the cab from where I had to do some touch up to remove some scratches. I had to re-decal it, so I put the American flag decal on there. I added a few other little random safety decals here and there. Removed the class lights on the nose as of the prototype. Added the the nose filter, cab filter there on the nose as well. You can see. Got the warning labels on the steps now. And then the big process here was adding the exposed bearing caps to the trucks on this model. You can see the exposed bearing caps there. Originally this had the bearing covers, or the journal covers, which was unprototypical considering that the real CSX 8888 has the exposed bearing caps, as you can see in this photo here. You can see the exposed bearing caps. So this is what I wanted to try to replicate on the model. So I was able to go back and I went ahead, drilled out the, removed all the original molded details, filed it down, and then added the bearing caps by drilling through the entire truck side frame and sliding the bearing caps in place and then painting them to match the color of the wheels. So that looks really cool. And then obviously I had to go back. Once I did all that, all this original weathering on it really got beat up, so I went ahead and re-weathered the trucks, added the dust effects, the rust effects on that, and they came out pretty well. Updated the fuel tank detailing so it's all prototypical, and then just kind of touched with the weathering there as well. Finished weathering the grills up a little bit too, and again a few warning labels I added, you know, here and there. Like there's a couple of them I can point out, but I won't. Like you can tell there's a few extra on there though, so that's nice. There's the back truck there with the exposed bearing caps, really nice. And you can see I also added the chain on this side, on the engineer side, with the custom-made hooks that hangs down on the engine, which I think is a really nice touch. Just like the prototype, it has this chain on it. So what I used to first make this was I made the hooks, which are made from custom-made hooks from brass wire. I glued them in place, and then I hung the chain onto the wire, glued it in place, and then painted it to match the grime color from the trucks. So it looks really cool. It's another nice, very nice detail, I think, in my opinion. Looks really good. I didn't have to do anything with the sill striping because this already has the reflective tape I put on it about a year or two ago, so that was taken care of already. Just a few other little detail changes. I had to kind of re-weather the top, so I ended up cleaning all the old weathering off and re-weathered it, just giving it a nice little exhaust, kind of some exhaust blast on the roof there. Changed a few details on the roof, modified the horn by putting the horn covers on there, got the EOT antenna on there, and then GPS dome, put the new ditch lights on there, got the new plow, changed all that around. I'll move this into the lighting here so you can see a little bit better. So on the front pilots, the things I did not only was modifying the plow, but I also took off the old ditch lights that I had on there and replaced them with some more accurate Conrail style plow mounted ditch lights like these. And then they're mounted on custom stands right under the anti-climber there. I also added this little MU receptacle here. That's also a prototypically accurate detail. I painted the brake wheel on the nose at the primer gray just like in the prototype photos, so that came out pretty good. And then again there's one last shot of the exposed bearing caps on the trucks, now completed and weathered up on this side of the engine. So they all came out pretty good, and that's just another really nice realistic touch that only adds a whole other world of realism to this model. So I'm very happy with it. So at this point it's done and ready to go back into its little drawer here, and hopefully I can get some more videos of it running here pretty quick. See if I can maybe pair it on a freight or whatever. And I have some more plans also. I need to get some, maybe another CSX SD40-2 to kind of pair up with it, or maybe a bigger GE, CSX GE locomotive like a Gevo or something, just because I kind of don't like having just one CSX locomotive. I want to have maybe some like run-through power where this like is, you know, coupled to like a Gevo or something going through on like a, you know, handoff mixed freight or whatever. So I thought that'd be a cool idea. But yeah, there's CSX 8888. It's completed once again, and it's ready to go. So those are the two locomotives that I've been working on, and hopefully I can get some videos of these running again here pretty soon. In particular, this Union Pacific Jeep 40-2, I can put it on a local freight and get that running again. So focusing on the trash containers now, I'll go ahead and set everything aside here. I have been working on the containers, like I said, and the big process here is basically going and taking them, and again, the starting point, clean, you know, spotless containers. Kind of bland, no safety warning labels or anything like that, and then taking it and fading the containers down And then lastly, putting the decals on like this, and then getting them ready for weathering. So you can see there's quite a bit of work there in terms of weathering and decaling, and there's still more to go, but that's basically my plan. And the containers I have done so far are these right here. It's unfortunately very time consuming to get all these done because obviously there's so many decals on each side of these containers, and putting them all on is definitely painstaking. It probably took me 3 hours to get just these couple containers finished. It was definitely, it's not the fun part of the project, but it needs to be done for these to be accurate, and then before I can weather them. So some flat cars that I can show you here that I think you guys will like. These are the ones I finished for myself, and what's really cool about the trade deal that I worked out with this particular guy who's sending me all these cars to work on is he's actually the owner of most of these Atlas flat cars and containers. He's an expert in the waste department of, you know, U.S. Waste and all the other companies that own these containers. So it's been pretty cool talking to him and getting to kind of get some of the knowledge off of him about these, so it's definitely also nice. He supplied me with a lot of prototype photos, and he's supplied me also with all of the materials to do these, like the custom decals and everything else. So it's he's definitely a real nice guy to work with. But in return for doing all these cars for him, he's also sending me 50 flat cars and containers that I get to keep, and he's also paying me, which is pretty nice. But these are some of the cars he sent me already, and the ones I've worked on, and these are all riding on custom flat cars. So I'll go ahead and pull one into the shot here if I can. This is the custom Walthers Bethlehem flat that he basically modified, added the couplers to, did all the custom painting and decaling to. So basically all I had to do with the flat car itself was put the safety striping on it and then finish the weathering work. So it's a really nice looking flat car. I really like these, and these were already weathered too, so I didn't have to do anything on the underbodies here. I just pretty much had to finish the chalk, you know, put the chalk weathering on and kind of touch up a few things, and like I said, put the safety stripes and the mud splatter on. The containers here though are a good example of what I'm going for, and again, comparing these to a stock container, there's definitely a lot to be said here, and I'll try to make a long story short. After all the fading too, what you got and what you see mostly on these containers is a mixture of older faded containers and then sort of cleaner, shinier containers like these. So you have a good mix like this. You can see you got a good bit of difference in these four containers here, so I think it's really cool. But I added the mud splatter to all these, weathered them, put the decals on them. On this one you got a little more custom graffiti here and there. These ones are nicely faded down, then I put the weathering and the mud splatter and the garbage juice on them, and so forth with this one. And then on this side, pretty much the same, but really nice. Really like how those turned out. So that's the first custom Bethlehem flat, and I have one more which I'll go ahead and bring into the shot here, and this one is another, like I said, another Bethlehem flat, another Walthers car with the custom containers on there. All the graffiti work's done, all the mud splatter, all the garbage juice, the decaling. Got the safety stripes added to the car. And on this one, this container was fun to do because I did some metal work to the side to make it look like some metal patches were added to the sides of the container, kind of repaired and then not painted up. They're just kind of the rusted over metal, so that looks pretty cool. And the roofs on these usually get pretty grimy too, so you can see that you get a lot of patchy rust on them, as you can see. So I tried to model that as well. So that's the second custom Bethlehem flat, and I'll move to this side real quick. You can see a little bit more of a heavier mud splatter on this side, so I think that looks pretty cool. So there's the second one, and then these next two right here are also riding on custom flat cars, and these are some older Athearn flats that he completely kit bash customized to some earlier U.S. Waste flat cars, and these came out awesome. I tell you what, these look really nice. And again, these are all custom painted, decal lettered by him. All I had to do was finish the weathering on them and then put the containers in and put them in place. So I made custom braces and put them on the interior of the flat car and then put the containers over them just like the prototype, so that came out pretty good. But just look at some of this custom detail work he did on these in terms of the decaling and the painting. it's amazing. It's definitely a really nice. I really like these custom flat cars. So like I said, all I had to do is finish the weathering. All the container weathering obviously was done by me, and then I put the warning labels on these, as you can see. And then on this side, again, about the same. Nice little variation. You get a lot of gang scribble on these cars because they go through the Bronx and all those bigger areas, kind of in the downtown New York City area. So these really do get hit pretty good with graffiti, so that's what I kind of try to focus on here. There's really a lot of the graffiti on these, but that one came out pretty good. That's the first Athearn flat, and then the last Atlas flat car that he sent me is this one right here. And again, pretty much it's about the same. The only difference with this one is I did the primer patches for the safety stripes, and then added the containers, as you can see. So that's pretty cool. And then here's this side. So those are the custom US waste flats right here. Like I said, all 4 of these are custom, and it's pretty cool. Like I said, I really love his work. He does some really nice modeling work, so it's definitely, like I said, really like getting some of his custom models. So it's a pretty cool deal, actually. And I do have my older Atlas flat car here in the back. You can see I have some of the older containers. I also went back and added the updated warning labels and all that too. And I even added one of the faded containers to this one as well to kind of mix things up a bit. So you can see you get a lot of container variation, but these are basically a good example of what I'll be going for in the long run on the bigger train that I'm making for him. So obviously all these containers will end up looking like this in the end once they're done. So I'll have 200 containers total I'll have to do like this, and then weather. I'm going to probably do it mostly with airbrush just because it'll be so time consuming. I just want to be able to kind of move quickly through the weathering process, but still to make them look good. But it's just something I can't do with brush, even though I'd like to. It would just be too time consuming, so I'm going to be using my Pache airbrush to do the majority of the weathering work on those. Real quick, I'll go ahead and move into this room here so you guys can see the flat cars. And this is what I know you guys have wanted to see. I got a couple of messages about a couple of other guys wanted to see some of the flats, so I went ahead and wanted to go ahead and show you guys these real quick. But all these are the Atlas flat cars, and they're all US waste. And a majority of these I've added the safety stripes too. So you can see you got different safety stripe patterns on each one of these. And they're all custom numbered. So I cut the numbers out individually and applied them to the models on both sides. As you can see, so they're all different numbers. And like I added some variations too, just to kind of mix things up a bit. So like, for example, this car here had a really oddball reporting mark where the US in US waste was a smaller font compared to the original WX. So that was kind of interesting. And like just a few other little decal variations there in some of these flat cars, but nothing too crazy. So all these right now, 50 total, need dull coating. I'll have to put the coupler bars on them and finish the decal work, and then they'll be ready for the weathering process, which I hope to do maybe 25 at a time, weather them from top to bottom. I'll have to change the couplers out, so that's going to be a pain in the butt. There's, like I said, still a lot of work here, and I'm just kind of dreading it in the reality because there's so much work. And like I said, the big project here is, like I said, these containers. These are all the containers, the 200 total that'll be going on all these flat cars in the end after the whole project is done. And so these are a mixture of the US waste, the old school US waste scheme, and then the newer US waste scheme with the orange roofs. So I'll have to also put the safety striping on all these, which is also going to be a pain in the ass. So that's going to suck. Put the warning labels on all of them, so that'll be another big project. But like I said, all these will have to get decaled, faded down, weathered, etc. So this is going to take quite a bit of time. I'm actually tempted to have a friend of mine help me out with this, so I might do like 100 containers myself and send him 100 containers just to help out, because I just don't see these getting done anytime soon, because like I said, there's just so freaking much work here just in these containers alone, not even counting the flat cars, all the work I got to do with them. So there's, like I said, it's a big project. There's still a lot to be done here, but my plan still is to hopefully show you guys some tips and tricks on weathering these. Here, as I kind of get more deeper into the project, I'll show you guys some of the weathering methods I do with my airbrush. So that should add some interesting effects, and kind of show you guys the ways I weather with an airbrush to kind of, like I said, add some more effects to the table. So yeah, that should be pretty entertaining for you guys. But yeah, that's the majority of the flat cars and containers right there that I got to do. So all these will have to be weathered up. I'll have to put the containers on them and all that, and I'm just dreading it, I'll tell you what. Oh man, so I'm going to be tired after this one. I'll tell you what, I might even have to take a break, but you know, it'll be worth it in the end. I can't wait to see all these when they're done. And like I said, hopefully when they're all done, they'll look about like this. So it should be an interesting project when it's all said and done. Hopefully I can even, maybe a couple months down the road, I can get a video of all these things running together. So yeah, that pretty much gets us up to date on the projects I've been working on, like I said, guys. Hopefully I can keep you guys posted on the trash containers as I keep going with them. And I'll have another locomotive update here pretty soon, as I got a couple locomotives I hope to do. I'll keep those a secret for now, but hopefully I can show you guys those when they're done as well, and maybe even get some more rolling stock projects going after this as well. So like I said, stay tuned for more, guys. As always, keep watching out for my updates on these containers. Be sure to like my Facebook page, Dan's Custom Trains. You can look me up, Daniel Arnold, as well. And if you need to, you can friend me, and I can give you a link or whatever, and you can look up my page. Like I said, Dan's Custom Trains is where I store all the majority of my modeling work. I post pictures there and talk trains. So really nice group page. If you guys want to check it out, you can go there and like it, and you can follow my work if you want. So like I said, guys, stay tuned for more as always, and take care. Thanks for watching.